The fallout from Rangers' recent decisions shows no sign of easing, and one former captain has stepped forward with a blunt verdict on the club's sporting direction. Barry Ferguson's latest comments cut through the noise surrounding Ibrox, offering an unfiltered view on recently sacked Kevin Thelwell. His assessment lands at a moment when scrutiny is already high, ensuring his words will echo loudly among supporters and decision-makers alike. Let's break this down in today's video, along with all the other Rangers news from the last 24 hours. There is so much to discuss in today's video, so be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for daily Rangers content. Barry Ferguson has revealed differences of opinion between himself and Kevin Thelwell while he was in temporary charge of Rangers, especially when it came to recruitment. Thelwell came in as the club's sporting director in the midst of Ferguson's interim spell in charge of the team, and the latter wanted to stay on full-time and was involved in discussions about the direction of the club going forward. He has since told of a Scottish core of signings he wanted the club to make, including Lawrence Shankland, who stayed at Hearts, and Josh Mulligan, who ended up moving from Dundee to Hibs. And the former club captain has admitted recruitment was one of the main areas he and the sacked sporting director disagreed on. Addressing the shock departure of Thelwell and ex-chief executive Patrick Stewart, Ferguson said I actually had a good relationship with Patrick during our time together, and I can't say otherwise. If I needed anything, he was on the end of the phone, or I could chap on his office door. The rest of the time, he left me to get on with it, and I like to work like that. Kevin was different. I only had a meeting or two with him during those 3 months before. Ultimately, he interviewed me for the job on a full-time basis. I never spent much time with him, so it's hard for me to say what type of person he was or what he was like to work with. But yes, it's fair to say we had different ideas, especially when it came to recruitment. That's fine. Everybody has their own ways of working. Certain people are always going to disagree with those methods. If Ferguson had different ideas to Thelwell on recruitment, he is the one who looks vindicated after a poor summer window. Youssef Chermiti, the £8 million striker, hasn't impressed, and neither have the vast majority of the signings. It was the main reason fans turned against the Englishman, and likely a factor in Andrew Kavanaugh getting rid, even though he has kept his counsel on that. Ferguson went on. The biggest issue Kevin had in the end was that the recruitment hasn't looked like value for money. He brought in 14 new players with a net spend of £20 million, and the general consensus is the team has gone back the way. That's hardly ideal. There is still time for some of these new players to kickstart their careers. Danny Roll has introduced a traffic light system to assess them. There's a couple of green lights along with 1 or 2 reds, but I think the majority are still on amber. That means there is time for them to come good. Kevin's problem was that not enough of the players he signed have succeeded in hitting the ground running, and ultimately he's paid the price for that. The spotlight was always likely to fall on his head. Personally, I did think money would have been better spent on other targets, but like I say, Kevin had his own idea, and football was all about opinions. I felt Rangers had to go in a certain direction. Not everyone shared my opinion. That's fine too. It was their job to make those decisions, even though I didn't always agree with them. That's life. But when you make signings and oversee a full reboot of the squad, you also have to take accountability for those decisions. Chairman Kavanaugh was the man to make the call to get rid of Kavanaugh and Thelwell, and he flew in from the US to do so before fronting up in front of the press to explain the decision. Ferguson has praise for the way that was handled. He added, if any Rangers fans out there were concerned about having American owners who are a bit detached from the reality on the ground in Glasgow, then on Monday morning Kavanaugh didn't half put them straight. The way Kavanaugh handled it was very impressive. He could have done it from arm's length over the end of a video call from his office in Philadelphia. That would have been the easy way. But the fact that he jumped on a plane to look people in the eye and hold these difficult discussions in person before stepping out in front of the cameras to take ownership of the decisions he had made. That tells me that he understands what the club is all about. It shows that he has learned a lot about the club during a relatively short period of time in charge. And it demonstrates to the fans that he cares as deeply and passionately about Rangers as they do, which is why he is taking a real hands-on approach to dealing with the big issues. In other news, ally McCoist has expressed little surprise at the recent sackings of Rangers CEO Patrick Stewart and sporting director Kevin Thelwell, felating their recruitment strategy as appalling. McCoist's comments come following a season of disappointing transfers, where he argues that the players brought in have not measured up to those released. The legendary Rangers striker specifically pointed out several key positions where the team has faltered and in most cases gone backwards in quality. He said, "The departures of Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell are not a shock, not a surprise. I've been constant with this all along. The recruitment has been appalling, really. It has been appalling. Not poor, not bad. Appalling. We have signed players this year, and not one of them has been better than any of the players we have let go. So that's one of the reasons that we are where we are. We've signed one or two centre-backs. Neither of them are as good as Leon Balogun. We've played a couple of boys at left-back. None of them are as good as Ridvan Yilmaz or Jeff Day. We signed the big boy up front, Youssef Chermiti, who will not score as many goals as Cyril Dessas or Hamzi Garman. JD Gassama has played well, by the way, and he's without doubt, in my opinion, probably the best signing that we've made. However, he isn't any better than Vaslav Cherny. So, when you put it like that, in layman's terms, it's pretty straightforward. You're signing players that aren't as good as the players you're letting go. Now, that can only be a recipe for one thing, and it isn't success. It is not success. Look at the centre-backs. We had Connor Goldson and Balogun, solid boys that went to the European final. You had Alfredo Morelos up front. You had Ryan Kent. These are good players that are miles better than we've got at this moment in time. So the recruitment has to stand up and be scrutinised and accounted for. And it hasn't been good enough. So the decision effectively isn't a surprise. I believe what will happen is, I would expect the management or the ownership to probably say that fan protest wasn't the be-all and end-all their decision due to the fans. But you also have to listen to the fans. You have to listen to the fans, and I thought personally there was too much water under the bridge for them to survive, and I think that it's no major surprise to me that it's happened. While it's taken a while to make the decisive call, owner Andrew Kavanaugh can't be accused of not fronting up. The American spoke to the media yesterday and explained the situation, citing fan pressure as one of the reasons for change. And McCoist reckons there's positive signs to be taken from both the haste and manner of the decision. He told online slot site TalkSportBet, "I think the owners have maybe got a little bit of a shock at the reaction from the fans, media and everybody. What they're like is different, they are completely different. And the businessmen that have come in to take over the club, I think they're showing they're to be ruthless, right? They've shown they'll be ruthless and they won't stop in pursuit of excellence and take Rangers back to a level where they should be and where they belong. I, for one, don't mind that. There'll be a few decisions that will get made that people will not agree with. But if they're done solely in people's belief that they're in the best interest of the club, I can live with that. But that is all for today's video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We post all the latest Rangers news every single day, so join our fast growing community so you never miss out. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video.